Well, okay, Jake, you ready for the show?
I am. Good week.
The show is getting interesting because Halloween is in the offing. And I think that potentially we could have one of the best games in several years. In fact, the build-up to North and Sherland is starting to remind me of the build-up to PSJ North and Harlingen in 09. Remember that?
Yeah.
A Halloween game, if I don't, if my memory serves.
I think so, yeah.
Well, let's talk first a number. The number this week is 39, and that is the number of points that were scored by the average. The average winner scored 39, down from 40, but still quite a bit of offense.
Yeah, I mean, there are a ton of teams. You know, I think we only had a couple close games this week.
Yeah, I think within 10 points, there were only 4 games.
Yeah.
So a lot of blowouts, a lot of teams being dominant, and a lot of teams really struggling.
Yeah, and I think we were at those games that they were actually close.
Close games. We went to McAllen, PSJA, and then Donna and Baylor were both good defensive, hard-hitting football games. You know, we talk a lot about the offense here on the show, and it's exciting to see the highlights, which we're going to get to in a second. But the bottom line is, and the old bromide is what? Defense wins championships. Defense wins district. We've got 3 or 4 of the best defenses around we're going to showcase today. Talk about Harlingen South. They finally gave up a couple of touchdowns, but still won 48-14. Edinburgh North, Sherland, Harlingen. You throw in PI and Etcash, you've got some of the best defenses in the valley, and it's no surprise that those teams are right near the top of the standing.
Yeah, you know, and I like that mantra, defense wins championships. But I think we have to remember is when we get into the playoffs, our size doesn't compare with some of the teams.
Yeah.
And we need to be able to score as well.
You got to be able to score, but you also got to be able to stop people. So the teams that can do both, generally speaking, will be our best representatives in the postseason. Well, we're not to the postseason yet, but it's mid-October, guys, and then we're starting to be able to really draw some lines and separate some teams and figure out who's going to be where. In order for us to really truly understand the picture, let's take a quick look at what happened last week with Carlos Robledo.
Thanks, guys. We start with Robert Vela versus Donna. This one in overtime. Ebner Lopez fighting for 25 yards here, and he just gets into the end zone. 13-6. Vela on top there in overtime. Now it's Donna's turn. Aldo Silva. He just crosses the end zone there, and we're all tied up. We go to a second overtime where Donna's Pedro Garcia, a field goal from 35 yards out. Robert Vela now with the ball, but they lose it, a fumble, and it is Donna recovering the turnover right here, and they win it 16-13 in double overtime. Edinburgh High versus Sherland. Diego Chrysler hits Christian Esparza here. He travels 59 yards to pay dirt. Chrysler 295 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Rattlers win 49-3. Edinburgh North versus Palmview. Adrian Alvarez running here. He rushed for 120 yards. North remains undefeated, winning 47-7. McAllen Memorial versus McAllen Road. Trevor Spates 255 yards rushing. This one goes to overtime. DJ Johnson, the catch here. Memorial wins it 35-28 in overtime. Mac High versus PSJA. Fred Holver, he finds Justin Gonzalez 51 yards. Bulldogs win. They are undefeated 22-13. Harlingen versus Pace, a blocked punt here. The Cardinals have been doing that a lot this year. This one leads to a touchdown. Brandon Garza, watch him as he will go down the field, passing down the field, and the Cards roll, winning by a final score of 67-6. Harlingen South versus Hannah. Watch the great catch here in the end zone. Somehow comes down with it. Hawks win 48-14. Edcal Chelsea versus Mission Vets. Diego Garcia running here. He had 107 yards. Jackets win 22-3. Mercedes versus Rio Grande City. Rene Presas making a case for MVP of the district. The pretty pass there to Gilbert Vela. Tigers win 42-24. 3As begin district play. PI, the #1 team in the Valley versus Progreso. Jacob Lozoya, 85 yards here. He had 220 yards rushing. PI 62, Progreso 21. Raymondville versus Gruya, the long pass and the catch, 35-21. Raymondville wins. Rio Hondo versus La Feria. Check out the long run here. Bobcats win by a final score of 40-27 in 32-3. Those are your look at your Week 6 highlights.
Well, okay. Now, we've already mentioned on this show today that we're thinking Sherland and Edinburgh North is going to be great. Let's check in on those two teams and how they did last week.
Yeah, I liked. Sherland was Sherland.
Sherland.
It was Sherland.
Sherland, yes.
They haven't had a close game since Alexander?
Yeah, just about 22-14.
Yeah, and so this week Edinburgh came to town, and it wasn't very pretty for Edinburgh.
21-0 early, 49-3 final. A lot of kids got to play for Sherland. They found a new star. Christian Esparza is the latest receiver to take one a long way. They returned 2 punts for touchdowns. Justin Harris got one for 65, and Sean Landez went 90. Sherland, like Harlingen, will score in many different ways, and make no mistake, they will score.
Yeah, and they're a tough matchup across the board. They have team speed and they have individual speed, and their wideouts are just so good. I mean, they stretch the field and they just open up the middle, and that's without Lance Madden playing. And we're talking about Diego Chrysler, who. They've got a great tandem with those two. Yeah,
they do. And this kid, what's his name? Montalvo had a couple interceptions. Number 3, he's a safety, and he can really get up in the air. I feel like Sherland is very, very good right now. Now they got Donna, and they got to play Donna on the road. I saw Donna against Vela, and they squeaked by. They made a good effort. They won in double overtime. I'm impressed with Donna. I'm impressed with their coach, Ramiro Leal. Here's a guy who's really articulate. He's really intense. And last week we said, will the kids look at you and will they be with you? He has his kids' attention, and they played better down the stretch, and they won that ball game 16-13. Now they go over, and Sherland goes over to Donna. How do you think they're going to do?
Well, I think, look, we've seen these games before. Sherland and Donna.
Been some great ones.
Yeah, they're not. It's not an in-town rivalry, but it's a rivalry. I mean, especially what has happened in the past. I think this is one of those games where I think you throw out the performances Donna's had against 2 of our teams, and
Edinburgh and Vela. They got by. I think both were overtime games. One was 2 overtimes. One was 1.
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned with the health of Amante Bowen. Let me first of all tell you that number 4 for Donna, when he takes that ball out of the shotgun, he is a man. He may be a sophomore, but he's big. He's got good feet, and he'll run you over. He got popped and knocked out of the game. If he gets a chance to play, that improves Donna's chances.
Yeah, they need him. They need a little lightning in a bottle to come alive.
And he, on the other hand, too, Sorrells. There are a lot of injuries. Donna had a lot of injuries early on. They lost a couple offensive linemen. Elpidio Yanez, little 21, out for the year.
Oh, wow.
So Aldo came back. So, they're shuffling guys in and out. I was impressed with their defense. This Marcelino Cáceres, 36, had 2.5 sacks in the first half. They play a pretty good brand of ball. Augie Cantu, number 5, I always like that kid. Donna's got a good shot, man. Playing at home against Sherland, like you said, maybe they'll rise to the occasion. They have to be considered an underdog, though.
Yeah, I think so, too. I think they're an underdog, but they're playing at home, which is great for them because that home field.
I love that stuff, man.
Yeah.
Cherokee, it's good.
And I'm not sure if it's their homecoming, but
I don't know.
But it's going to be one of those games that we all remember, and this is that last
test. That's right, last test.
If Sherland gets by this, they're pretty much set for that matchup with Edinburgh North.
And Edinburgh North is off this week, and then they have a match against Vela the 25th before the Pumpkin Spice Showdown on Halloween. I think Vela still has a shot to make the playoffs. It just got harder for them, though, because it really did. They've still got to play Sherland and North, meaning they have to win against Palmview. That is an imperative. I think Vela's defense is something that's been underrated all year. We have a tendency to talk about Ever Lopez. He had a great game, by the way, against Donna. But I like their defense. Deion Taylor was the guy who gave a smack to Amante Bowen. This kid, a linebacker, Roy Lopez, 52, made 15 tackles. And the big surprise, Steven Ramos, is huge, enormous tackle. He wears number 45. He had a great game. Vela's not giving up a 240 yards per game, rather. I'm impressed with their D.
Yeah, I mean, it hurts right now that they lost Genaro Cavazos. He was their bread and butter for a while.
He was a great back.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for him, they probably only put 30 up against Edinburgh.
Yeah.
But
this guy.
But he's been the lifeblood for that team. I mean, he's made them more dynamic. But when you have their QB,
he runs great.
Their receivers.
He runs well, but here's the problem. You know he's going to run. And so there's not another kid right now that can take the ball and get a first down every time or every other time. So it puts a lot more pressure on Lopez. So I think he's a great ball player, though. We're going to see how Vela turns out. Like I said, they got a couple of tough games coming up. Where does EHS go from here? They're not out of the race. They can win 3 in a row because they have 3 teams that have sub-500 records coming up.
The problem with them is they have that last week bye, which It's great when you're already in position to make the playoffs.
But if you need a win,
it sucks. It's a horrible place to be because, like last year, they're on the outside looking in. Of course,
right.
They lost their last game of the year too.
It's not beyond the realm of possibility in 30 to have a three-way tie for that last spot. Economides, Vela, and EHS. Now, what about the Jags? They had the off week, and they go over to where? Lincoln?
Yeah, they play.
They got to win that game and get on a roll. But let me tell you, the Jags have the schedule in their favor. 3 out of their last 4 games are against sub-500 teams, and 3 out of 4 at home. Do you think they can make it?
I think so. I think they got to beat Edinburgh. If they beat Edinburgh, they're going to have a record that doesn't put them in a 3-way tie.
Yeah.
Edinburgh's looking for the upset because
they can be the spoiler.
Yeah, because they're going to play. Who do they play? Juarez, Lincoln, La Jolla, Economides. The last 3. The meat of their district was.
They've had the tough hits already. So if Edinburgh gets on a roll and wins 3, we could be looking at a scramble at the bottom of the standings there. Right now, you just have to start kind of getting fired up about Sherland and North. Now, some strange things may happen before we get there, but if we get there with undefeated teams, I think the Valley will be paying attention.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those games that we look at as, okay, whoever wins this game, they're going to go the furthest in the playoffs.
And maybe number 1. Well, let's, speaking of paying attention, when Oneida goes to a ball game, people have a tendency to pay attention to her, obviously because of her sterling personality. Let's see what that gal is up to next.
Hey guys, I'm Oneida Guerra for 956sports.com. And right now, McAllen Memorial is facing off the Nicky Rowe Warriors. A lot of action has been going on in the field. Let's check it out.
Number 5, Rio. 23,
Okay, so why are you guys wearing pink today?
Because it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Okay, so then tell me about this. I mean, all of you got together and we're like, we're going to wear pink?
Yes,
or what
of course. So ever since October 1st, we've always made sure that our whole student section wears pink and represents the breast cancer awareness. Yes, we're family, of course, and we always want to stand out and represent the people who have gone through so much trouble with this cancer, and we're just supporting it just to get it away.
Thank you so much. And you know what? Other high schools should be doing this as well.
Of course, they should. I mean, it should be all over the valley. No matter what school you're from, you always have to represent the Breast Cancer Awareness Month. That's how everybody, after all the donations and stuff, like, you should help the world.
That was awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. So, wait, who do y'all think is going to win tonight?
I'm sorry?
Who do you think is going to win tonight?
Obviously, Nicky Rowe. Oh my gosh. Warrior Nation, baby. That's all you have to say.
Warrior Nation, baby. That's all you have to say.
Yeah, baby.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. I'm Oneida Guerra for 956 Sports, and I hope to see you next week.
Ashley D. Martinez, Sherland All-Star Dancer, 88 All-American Dancer. Captain.
Okay, well, Jake, we've been prepping that North and Sherland game, or as you would say, Sherland. But there's a big game this week, and it's going to come in the Mid-Valley, and it's East against the Panthers of Weslaco, and I'm leaning very heavily toward attending that contest.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be one of those. It's in that district. It's one of the marquee matchups of the season right now.
And it's going to really determine quite a bit in the standings because Weslaco is a notch ahead. East wants to get up there. East had a workmanlike win, 14-0 over San Benito.
Yeah. It was a little bit different for them because they didn't get the yardage that they thought they were going to get.
165.
And Wesco East is a very much a running team.
They're methodical. They're methodical.
And when they don't get more than 200 yards rushing, I mean, you expect them to get 200 yards rushing.
You expect Cuellar himself to get almost 200. He had 121. They got it done, as we like to say. Now, the thing is, are they going to be able to throw? The team that hits a big pass in this game is probably going to have a pretty good chance to win. Wesco had a slew of turnovers, but they got a couple of big long runs. 89 yards. Eric Gonzalez broke again. They had 14 guys carry the ball, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, and this is one of those things. I've spoken to Mike Gonzalez, the Mid-Valley Town Crier.
Our buddy, my man.
Yeah, he does the Tanaco Bowl. He came up, I think he came up with the name, right?
And indeed he did.
This is one of those games where, you do throw the records out here.
Oh,
because, this is all about pride.
It is, man. Augurio, this is Westlaco right here, man.
And so, what I think you're going to see this is we're going to see some, slobber knocking hits. We're going to see some.
That's one word, slobber knocking.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
a long one.
We're going to see some big time hits. I think we're going to see a lot of extracurricular activities after play. but I think you're going to mix that in, and then you're going to see one or two big plays.
I'll tell you what, man, and if they're big plays for the Panthers, it might just be Andrew Cavazos. Guy had a 50-yard touchdown from Robert Lopez. He intercepted a pass and ran it 33 yards for a touchdown. Couple of big plays will determine the game, and I think one of them might be a pass. We say that, and of course the game will be over in about an hour and 10 minutes. So I'm looking forward to that. If I don't go, I'm going to be heavily checking out the highlights and checking out the tweets, as it were. Is that how you say it? Tweets, twits. Okay, good. Well, however I can, I'll do some smoke signals and figure out who won the game. Okay, so now San Benito and McAllen. San Benito's win streak came to a close. McAllen's still undefeated. How do you see this thing happening?
Well, look, I think I've been waiting for Mackay to have a hiccup, and there's no hiccup.
Not yet.
They're winning, and they're winning convincingly. I mean, the PSA game last week was flag filled, but
flag football of the strange variety.
From what everybody, your article, everybody's telling me, it was basically penalty after penalty, but Mackay won.
They made the plays. Let me first the penalty, second the game. Kids are going to have to learn to adjust. The refs are not going to let you extracurricular. Okay, they're not going to let you wolf. They're not going to let you talk, posture. They're calling unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. So you have to adjust. You may not agree with it. I may not agree with it, but you've got to adjust to the game and don't hurt your team by getting a silly penalty at the wrong time. Now, as far as McAllen goes against PSJA, I thought the Bears hung in there despite the fact that headhunting group took out a couple of quarterbacks. They were going to have to look for Hector Ayala from 1990 to bring back for the Bears. I thought Luis Pedraza was going to go over there and play, man.
Yeah,
golly.
I kept getting the updates, and they're down to their fourth quarterback. They're on their fourth quarterback. And I was amazed because, you would think the score would have been a lot more lopsided. It wasn't.
And here's why it was not, in my opinion. In the first half, Christian Sanchez, 22, part of that great junior class for the Bears. He was all over Ricky Rodriguez, all over him. In the second half, it was Ray Wahardo, 78, the dancing bear of the Ukraine, man. That guy is 300 pounds, but he's quick as a cat. He was in the backfield all day against Ricky. Ricky doesn't have it about 70 yards. Hover didn't have a great game either, but he basically made the plays that won the game. A 4th down and 5, he runs 21 yards for a touchdown. Late in the game, they're up 3, driving for the winning score. He makes the 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 6 out pass, 20 yards on the line, bing, first down, they go down to score. That kid's something.
Yeah.
Over is something.
And we've seen him, we've seen him do it in the years past. But it's a new offense. It's a lot of him running. So when he gets to throw it, it brings back last year.
Well, he can do it all.
Yeah.
And he threw a 51-yard touchdown to Justin Gonzalez. So when they need him to throw, he can throw, and when they need him to run, he can run. And he doesn't get rattled. That's the thing about Fred, man. He doesn't get rattled. The working man. You've seen his hands and forearms.
No.
Guy's huge, man. He may be short, but he is a very stocky, powerful kid.
He works out.
He must work out. Him and Ricky. That's all they did this summer, right?
Yeah.
I was impressed by the headhunters on defense. Armando Garces, 21, who, by the way, I was walking out after the game and saw his family. They were proud as punch. He had a great game. David Ayala had 19 tackles. This Nick Garcia, another Nick Garcia, un otro. This guy, number 40, he's tough, man. He's intimidating. He has the look of a guy who's going to knock you in the dirt. Because there is no dirt on turf, but you get my impression. McAllen unbeaten. They got the great weapons. They won a game where the weapons didn't exactly explode like they usually do, and so that's a sign of a good team, man. Kevin Brewer's doing a great job with that team.
Yeah, and they're in position. You're looking at they can, if they beat San Benito here this week,
it really is kind of a big win if they get it.
Yeah, and they're pretty much set. They're set to win either win or tie the district.
Yeah, depending on what happens with East and Weslaco. I'll tell you what, McAllen probably rooting for East because Weslaco don't have a loss in district yet. And I'll tell you what, those guys get more and more fired up over at Weslaco when it gets to be October, November. That game is going to be something. Now, let's talk a little bit about Memorial because the kid is going bananas right now. Absolutely bananas. 255.
Yeah, I was
4
at that
touchdowns.
game. I was at that game in the first half. And what you see is when he has the ball, you know, he goes from right to left. It doesn't really matter. It seems like it's almost in slow-mo for him.
How does he do it?
I just think he has great vision.
That's the word I was looking for.
His speed is incredible because he's able to go left. He sees an opening, he breaks it back right, and he comes back. I'm not saying he's Barry Sanders, but boy, can he move.
Yeah, he can move, and I'll tell you what he does too. I've noticed it. He moves well without the ball before he gets the pill, all right? The dude sets himself up. He already sees the hole. He takes the ball. He makes that first slalom cut, and then you're not going to get him. You're not going to get him.
You know what he has is his hips. He has great balance because most kids, they do a little juke, and then next they're falling off. This kid, you know, he does the juke. It seems like the corner or the linebacker falls down and he just goes back.
In other words, he does it to some effect. And he can make it full speed. See, a lot of kids, when they can't make that move full speed, they have to slow down. He makes the move full speed and he's gone. And you ain't going to catch him and he's going to get 2,000 yards this year. Now, Memorial is pretty much saved their season. They got the win. Boy, that was tough against Rowe, though.
Yeah,
good Lord, 35-28 in overtime.
And there's something to be said. I mean, if you look at this, and I spoke to Coach Reyes this weekend also. All right, Justin Owens could very well be the top passer in that league, and he's not in that district.
He was yardage-wise after 5 games.
And you know, he might end up that. But his backup, just as impressive.
Hector Bosquez, he's throwing the ball, he's taking off, man. They must grow quarterbacks on trees over there off of Ware Road, man. I'm telling you.
What would it be like if we have 2 guys from Rowe that lead that district?
I know, right? Exactly. One in the first half, and one that's like Jurgensen and Kilmer for the 74 Redskins. I mean, you got to be kidding, man. So Rowe is still fighting. Now, they got PSJ Memorial. That's an elimination game. I hate to say that, but at this point in time, it is because both of them only have 1 win in district. They have gotten so close several times, and, you know, their defense is playing better than people give them credit for. Rowe is hanging tough. I'll give them kids credit for fighting, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, they stuck it out because they could have folded and they didn't. They just kept scoring because I mean, Memorial looked like when they were up 14.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this is it.
Not quite. It was not yet to be.
And they just kept coming back, and they forced a fumble.
The kid lost a fumble. God, he is a human being after all. I thought he came from Neptune, man. Golly, I'll tell you what, Marriott had some plays from Memorial. You see it in the highlights, man. He came up and stuck some guy. He made an interception. That kid's a player. He's been around. He seems like he's like a 7-year guy. He's like a veteran, you know.
Yeah.
I like that kid. They got PSJ North. You would think that Memorial will go to 3-2. Stranger things have happened. PSJ North is still a good ball club. They had some runners that did well. Joey Estrada had 111, and another kid had 92. They're going to get over one of these days, and Memorial hopes it ain't this week.
Yeah, I mean, and this is one of those things you can't. At this point of the season, you can't overlook anybody because you know every game counts.
Every game counts. So that's 31-5A, the black and blue division. Let's take a quick break here on the show. Greg Selber, Jake Berry. We got a lot more to come, so stay with us.
You need a sports website that's not a total bomb. Well, they made it easier on you now. 956sports.com. Live game streaming so sleek. Check out the cheerleaders of the week. In-depth features, articles, and reports at 956 Sports, 956sports.com.
All right, Jake, we're going down south. Driving south, and another week, another block punt for a touchdown for Harlingen. This time it was Hayden got it, and Elijah De Leon put it in. 67 points for the Cardinals. They're looking pretty strong.
Yeah, I think this week I was at a game, I was at the Memorial game, and I got a tweet that said 30-0 or something like that.
At the end of one.
Yeah, and I was like, this is a lie.
Wow, yeah, it can't be. Is that a misprint? Is it 3-0? What is it?
And so I thought, okay, somebody's just messing with me. You know, I'm like, okay, I'm going to put it out there, and it was, you know, I can't believe how dominant Harlingen is because I thought they were going to be great. this year, I didn't think it would be this good.
Well, they bring it. I mean, they get in your face like Jim Brown you're telling me about, or Anthony Munoz, boom, you know.
Yeah.
They bring it, they cause turnovers, and they turn turnovers into points. We've said it every week. Now, their buddies across town, Harlingen South, 48-14 over Hannah. If it hadn't been for Alex Robles, who by my mind is an All-Valley linebacker, he returned 2 interceptions for a touchdown for the Eagles, South would have had another shutout.
Yeah, and you know, I think that, I love this year just for the sheer fact that you have Harlingen South, and they're both good again.
November 1st.
Yeah.
Bird Bowl.
You know, I think that when they play, I know Harlingen won last year, but I think it's going to be a different game this year. I'm not saying that I think South's going to win, but I think that this is going to be a better game than last year.
38-23, I think, was the final score, if the memory serves. I'll tell you what, though, Harlingen better look out, because Jaden Taylor ran for 247. He didn't even play a lot of the game. He had a big game. He's capable of being every bit as good a back as Spates over there at Memorial. If he can get 247 every week, shoot, nobody's going to beat him.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And I think, right now, if Harlingen South can't, and I'm not sure they have next week, but they're able to, if they're able to...
Rivetta.
Rivetta. If they're able to not have to, use them that much, just keep them fresh for Harlingen.
Rivetta's won a couple in a row. They have the weapons. We've said that all along. They got 51 against Porter. Now, Rivetta at South this week. Let's see what Evans does against the defense for Harlingen South that is, if it's not the best in the Valley, tell me who it is. Edinburgh North, Sherland. A lot of people say it's South.
And if you look at the beginning of the year, you'd have to say it is South. But, I think what he's going to see, Evans, that is, I think he's going to see something that he saw against Edinburgh North, where he's
pop like firecrackers. Yeah, well, we'll see. If anybody can get 100 against South, it'll be Jaquil Evans. Now, Harlingen's got Brownsville Vets. Now, Vets had a nice win. They beat Lopez 20-3, shut them down. That's a good offense they shut down. They had a defensive touchdown. Kid kicked a couple of field goals, 39 and 42 yards. They lost their quarterback, Marcos Castillo. That's not a good thing.
No, it's not, especially at this time of the season. You can't really break in anybody because, there's not enough time.
They put Derek Rodriguez in there, the running back, and he finished the game. I hope Marcos is able to play because that's the kid a couple of weeks ago threw 6 touchdown passes. Brownsville Vets will have to be a team in transition right now, heading to play Harlingen. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, look, they're still in position for that last spot.
That's right. Right now they're hanging tough. Them and Hannah have 3 wins apiece.
Yeah.
In district.
I think
Hannah's off.
Lopez has to come back with some kind of miracle to come back into the picture, but it looks like they're in position.
Well, Lopez 1-3. They got Porter next, so they'll probably get to 2-3. Although Porter's starting to be competitive, man. We're not looking to get on that bandwagon or not. But the fact is, they have played a little bit better the last couple of weeks.
It's good for them too because look, it's progression. They weren't very good at the beginning of the year. Now they're putting up points.
Well, it's a football game, and it's a football team, and they're football fans. So we don't really care who's ranked first or last. They're going to come out and do the best they can. So 32-5A right now. We're thinking Harlingen South. Harlingen South still has to play Los Fresnos, and that's a difficult muster schedule-wise because right after the Bird Bowl, win or lose, then they got to finish up with Los Fresnos. That's a tough muster. I think the Falcons are a pretty darn good team.
Yeah, I do too, and I think this is one of those things. They are looking at this. Oh, we're gonna get them at least beat up a little bit from.
Yeah, they will. They have to.
So I think they're in a nice spot because most of their games, the tough ones were behind them, except for this Harlingen South game. But they're going to get Harlingen South right after the Harlingen game.
That could be a good thing for Los Fresnos. Everybody talks about the Falcons' offensive players, and they're very good. The cruise control, I call it. They got a couple of cruises. The kickers are cruise. The defense, though, Nick Alegria and my man Mingo Hernandez is having a big game or day. I saw him. Now, what is he having? A big something. I saw him. They had a story about him in the paper the other day, and boy, that kid's really played. 3-year starter. I like him a lot.
And anybody named Mingo usually does pretty well over there.
Man, you remember that kid, Mingo Rincon?
Yeah.
Boy, he was something else, man. I wonder what he's doing. We need to get an email from him. Tell us what's up, Mingo. You're still the man. All right, so that's the look at 32, and so the 5A are done. We're going to head to the 4As, and I'll tell you what, it's getting interesting. Ed Counts is 5-1. We're going to tell you all about it after the break. All right, well, let's go down to the 4As. I feel like it's been a very competitive race so far. We got 4 teams with 1 win and 3 teams, 2 with 3 and 1 with 2. Nothing is decided yet. The last 3 or 4 weeks are going to tell the tale. Let's talk about the game of the week over there. To me, it's Mission Veterans at Roma. Now, which Roma will show up? Will it be Jekyll or Hyde for Roma? Because every other week they're either great or not so great.
Yeah, I mean, ever since the Ed Couch game, they've been going up and down, up
They
and
beat
down.
41-7, then they came back and beat Mission 31-22. Orly Solis, 300 yards. No big deal, just another day at the office. He got like 12-something, 13-something. That little dude is a great back.
Yeah, and they need him this week because depending on which Mission Vets team you get, because Santos was a little dinged up last
He
week.
needs to get healthy. Hey, here's your quick quiz, Jake. You ready for examen? Por favor. Name the 4 200-yard rushers from last weekend.
From last week.
We already talked about 2 of them.
Okay.
3 of them, actually.
Okay.
Solis. Yeah. Solis Navidad.
Spates.
Spates. Spates in space.
Yes.
Hans and Sal.
Oh, wow.
Jaden Taylor, 247. The other kid was Lozoya. Jacob Lozoya for PI had over 200.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on the stats here. But let's go back to this 4A game. Vets and Roma. Now, no matter how Mission Veterans does against Roma, and it's on the road, it's going to be a tough deal. I'm proud of those kids in that program because of what I read in the paper on Sunday.
Yeah, and they were they visited a cemetery.
Yeah, they cleaned up a place out in Granjeno. If you don't know where that is, you got to go west and then get off the highway. A picture of those guys doing community service, civic duty, and they're having fun doing it. It seemed like, hey, that's the kind of thing that this is all about, guys. It's not just the sports, it's the conduct, it's the academics, it's the contributions you can make to other areas of life. You're not just out there to act like a clown on the football field and when you score a touchdown. I was really pleased to see that, and I think Gilpin and those guys deserve a lot of credit for making that happen.
Yeah, I mean it's a class act, especially by that program. Going out there and it's something that young kids see and they're like, okay, I'm going to do that too when I get older.
Well, I mean, we're very much imitative creatures, right? So if you see someone doing something stupid, you may want to do it. But if you see someone doing something good, maybe you'll want to duplicate that as well. And I certainly hope that's the case. Now let's talk a little bit about Ed Couch. 5-1, as I said in the opening. The return of Diego Garcia, by my mind, one of the most explosive players in several years down here. He had a big run for touchdown, rushed for 100. They needed him with Laredo out.
Yeah, and
Mariscal had 92 as well. Let me interrupt.
And they had their chances to score. They had Mission Vets made some plays last week. Intercepted a ball right after Ed Couch had intercepted a ball by Mission Vets.
Oh, wow.
But look, I mean, I think Ed Couch is arguably one of the best teams. They need that quarterback.
They are. They do.
Especially when you have a tight end like Isaac Martinez. You have weapons. I mean,
Noe Gonzalez has been out for a couple of weeks, but who is Bruno Sainz? Oh, they were calling him Bruno Mars on the public address. I think we said that last week. He rushed for 106, man. He engineered that win pretty good. But having Diego back, 29, that kid is tough, man. I mean, they come up with a playmaker anywhere you look, man. It's incredible with that cast. They got PSG Southwest this week. PSG Southwest will score. They will run and they will score. So Ed Couch needs to have all their full complement. They need to outscore that team. Now, if they put a whooping on them and hold them to 0 or 7, 3 games, Ed Couch has only given up 20 points in district. That's not too shabby. You're talking about defenses at the beginning of the show. Ed Couch has a great one.
Yeah. And the thing is, they have great linebackers. Against Roma, before the game went into overtime, they gave up some long passes. I don't know, it just didn't look like their safeties.
Aldo Ramirez, that guy's a tough receiver, man, for Roma. He's not bad. Roma's got some weapons.
Yeah, so, but the thing is, Southwest doesn't throw the ball as much.
Not much.
They're pretty much like the old PSA teams.
Pitch it and go.
Yeah, so what you're going to see is basically Ed Couch at his finest, stopping the run.
Yeah, I think you're right. Okay, so Mercedes now looking at second place, or actually first place. They're tied with Ed Couch 3-0. They play in 2 weeks, but before the Tigers get Ed Couch, they have Valley View. They just need to take care of business. Have you seen the scores from the last 3 Mercedes games? It looks like Canadian football. It's incredible.
Keep up with us.
Oh my, and teams can't because they've scored 45, I think, on average, but given up 35. They've had some barn burners out there.
Yeah, I mean, they've come around because they didn't score that much at the beginning of the year.
No.
And then they kind of figured out, okay, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this.
My man Preces, he's tough. They got good running backs. Gil Vale is not bad. Isaac Vale, the sophomores, come on and made some plays. So Mercedes is girding and building toward that Ed Couch game. They get Ed Couch at home on the 25th. That's going to be a fun ball game.
Yeah, it is. And the great thing is it's going to be at home.
Yeah.
So,
the kid with the electric guitar, every year they get some dude jamming his hind legs off of there.
Yeah. And last week, if you haven't seen it, you can go online. Isaiah Garza came back, and you know, I know that he's ready to go to that game.
Yeah, man, he's going to be saying beat the Jackets. Indeed. Now, the other game of note, Rio plays at Mission. Rio's another one of those teams that have been up and down, but they've been up at the right time. They're 2-1. They're in third place right now, or second, I guess. If Edcouch and Mercedes are tied, then technically second place.
Yeah, and they snuck up on everybody because they didn't play that well at the beginning of the year.
No,
all of
they
a
didn't.
sudden, you know, I'm going to take this win. I'm going to take this win. And Mission, they're coming off that a tough loss last week.
They had a chance. In fact, they had the lead. Roma came back and beat them, I think, 31-22. Mission is not exactly moving the ball as well as I think they probably could be able to. They're playing pretty good defense because they always play good defense. If they can start moving the ball and scoring some more points, they can be a factor in the race.
Yeah, and I think they're either going to throw a wrench in the race for some other team,
Yeah.
or they're going to put themselves back into it.
Noe Gonzalez, another Noe Gonzalez for Rio, 14 touchdown passes. Very quietly, 14 touchdown passes. Martinez and Muniz are good receivers. Rio needs to be consistent on a weekly basis, and I think they are a playoff team.
Yeah, and you know, Coach Longoria switched it up because, you know, in the past it's been very much spread. He's been running it more now.
Yep.
And you know, 14 touchdowns though for a team that's running a lot.
Dance with who brung you, as they say. Well, we did talk about Isaac Martinez, the big guy from Metcalf's, only a sophomore. Let's take a look at some other things maybe that you didn't know about. I call him Ike Martinez. He probably don't like that, but anyway, he's our Scholar Athlete of the Week.
At 6'3" and talented enough to play offense and defense, Isaac Martinez is hoping to play football at the next level. But if that doesn't work out for him, his grades are good enough that he can go to college wherever he wants.
It's good to be a good player, but you have to be a good student as well. Because, I mean, football's not always going to be there once you get out of high school.
And Isaac, he takes care of business in the classroom, and when he comes out here, he does the same thing. Great kid, he's got a bright future, and he knows that, and he's doing all the right things to make sure that he gets ready for the next level.
Isaac is taking dual enrollment and AP courses. His motivation for making good grades comes from home.
My grandparents, they really motivate me to be good in the classroom and on the field.
Playing football and taking rigorous coursework can sometimes be difficult.
I mean, just staying up all hours of the night is the only thing that really bothers me.
But the hard work is paying off. Isaac is in the top 10% of his class. He's not sure where he wants to go to school. He says maybe Texas State to study physical therapy.
I'm looking to be a physical therapist because I just find it interesting helping others out, recover from injuries.
Isaac Martinez, the South Texas College Scholar Athlete of the Week.
Well, the 3A picture is starting to come a little bit more clear, but before we get off on talking about PI, I think Rio Hondo is the team of the week in 3A.
Yeah, I mean, they lost to Lifer the week before.
The fourth loss in a row.
Yeah, and you would think, okay, this isn't their year. And then they come back, first game of district. I mean, it's a small district. The first game of district, every game counts.
Yep.
And they get the victory.
40-27. Look, Eli Pitones, the baseball player. They got a bunch of baseball players in that team, like Edinburgh North. He ran 80 and 67 yards for touchdowns in the second quarter. Rio Hondo led 21-0. You know how many yards they had for the game?
How many?
579. That is a ton of yards. Rio Hondo has resurrected the season. Now, what does that do for LaFeria, though? They were looking really good, and all of a sudden, even though Cuervo threw for 300 again, I think he's one of the best quarterbacks around, they gave up too many points.
Yeah, they did. And you know, the thing is, I don't know what at the beginning of the year, I'm like, boy, this team gonna, they're gonna give PI some trouble.
Yeah.
But they've been really down this year. I mean, they've been playing down though. They haven't won the games I thought they'd win.
Well, they're gonna have to win this week against Port Isabel on the road. Now, I think LaFeria still has a shot because Cuervo, if you watch Cuervo, man, there's a big kid. He stands in the pocket. He's got 4 or 5 good receivers. They're going to have to score because PI put 61 on Progressive. That team's looking strong. Man.
Yeah, and the thing is their defense is good too. So, you're going to throw on PI. The question is who you're going to throw to, because sometimes it's going to be their linebacker, sometimes it's going to be their corner.
You see Montelongo's interception?
Yes.
Yeah, it was amazing. I'll tell you the kid on the defense that I want to highlight. Everybody knows about Guilla, Montelongo, Gordo Garza. Marco Colorado. What a name. It sounds like it should be a gunslinger, right? He got 6 interceptions, man. They got a lot of kids on that defense. They really do.
And the thing is, you don't know, who's guarding who because, they drop back. They drop back a lineman and, they bring in the linebacker in, and they're that athletic.
People think that sometimes 3A football is, just to line up and run at somebody. No, Port Isabel does a lot of things that are pretty innovative. And I'll tell you what they do. They'll load the backfield, and they'll send both backs out to lead block. And I'll tell you who's a great blocker is Aguilera, 22. He'll knock you on your butt. And I like that kid. Oh, yeah. Lozoya is tough. Gonzalez is tough. Did you see the catch Miguel Ramirez made, number 90? That guy's athletic, man. He's tough.
Yeah, he came out there. I didn't know if he had a heart attack or whatever. He came out and laid on the ground, but they're athletic. I mean, they run stuff kind of like the Patriots. Let's put a lineman in.
Yeah, and then what they'll do is they'll go this way and that throwback screen. LB Bennett to the house, man. That's the call they make out there at Port Isabel. That's a good team. La Feria better get ready because that's going to be a tough game. Okay, so Rio Hondo now off of that great win, and we say that that's the team of the week. They play a Hidalgo team who they've got one win on the year. They seem to be in kind of not turmoil per se, but they can play better. Will they play better this week? They really need to get a win in district.
Yeah, they do. And Hidalgo's down.
Yeah.
We can't really sugarcoat it that much, but they're down. This is one of those wins. If they don't get it, it's a major upset.
Well, if you're 0-2 in a 4-game slate, then you have to win the next 2, and they have not played PI yet, so they definitely need to get it done. Rio Hondo, I think, on the other hand, it's the exact opposite situation. They start out with a win. This is a winnable game. If you go to 2-0, then you're looking pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, they're still going to play Progresso. They're still going to play who else?
The Red Ants are off this week, and I'll tell you what, though, they did put 3 touchdowns up on the board against PI, so that's no mean feat in itself. Yeah. Okay, let's talk now about 31-3. Let's go a little bit further west. Although some of those teams are in Wellesley County, it's one of those spread out things. I still can't figure it out. Please come realignment. Anyway, Raymondville had a great effort against Gruya. They won 35-14, I believe it was. Are you surprised? 35-21, pardon me.
Yeah. I was surprised because, Gruya was on a roll. I mean, they played PI tough, and you figured, okay.
Beat Rio Hondo 30-0. They were playing good defense.
Yeah. You just kind of figured, okay, Gruya's going to come in there. They're going to control ball. They're going to control tempo, time. Not the case.
Well, you cannot control Valladares because that guy's one of the best backs in the valley. We've already talked about the 200-yard guys. He was one last week with 290. He had 5 touchdowns. I think he had all the touchdowns. No, Akers had one. Romeo Rosales, Spencer Akers. The quarterback's tough. They got some good defensive efforts too. Raymondville hadn't stopped people that well, 23 points a game, but they stopped Gruya pretty well. Gruya also, as I understand, made some mistakes and they missed some chances. But Raymondville has to be pleased with a win like that.
Yeah, I mean it's a major win. Your first game in district.
1-0, 5-2 now is Raymondville.
That district is really tough.
Because you got Lyford is coming on. Lyford was off. They have Gruya now, though. Gruya gets a home game against Lyford. They're going to get a chance to reestablish that defense and get Scott Arnold, who's had a couple of great games in a row.
Yeah, and I think what you're going to see is, talk about really different programs. Gruya's going to want to run it, and Lyford's going to sling that ball.
Choom, choom. They got it. Now, I wonder if JT Luna is back. That kid, he was hurt last week or didn't play. They've got another guy, the coach's kid. They've got some weapons, man. That's going to be an interesting game. Is Lyford on the ascendancy like we think? And wither Gruya, as it were. I feel like they're going to have a good effort and get back into the mix here at 1-1.
Yeah.
Now, Kingsville 1-0, 5-2 at the top of that district. They got some exciting athletes. They'll give up some points and they'll make some turnovers, but that's going to be an interesting game. October 25th when you see Kingsville and Raymondville, by the way.
Yeah, and you have to wonder, is Zapata out of this? Are they out of it already? Or, because, it was a tough loss.
Well, it is a tough loss, and that's who Raymondville has next. They got killed by Kingsville, did Zapata. They got that good back. Raymondville better not sleep because, like you said, when you play 4 games in the district season, a loss can be very detrimental to one's success rate.
Yeah, and then that district, you can lose to just about any team on there.
Yeah, well, and I'm going to get out to a 3A game before long. I was almost at Raymondville, Gruya. I can't be in 2 places at once, people, but we get to see so many video highlights that I feel like I was at all the ball games.
Yeah.
That's a fun thing. All right, so speaking of 3A, let's take a look at and give some a paean and an ode to Joe Gonzalez over here at Raymondville because they had a great season, or a great game last week.
Yeah, they did.
There you go, right there. Good job, good job, good job.
Tell you what, it was a big victory because it's our first district game, and being a small district with 4 district games, it's really important that you win the first one. You don't want to fall into a hole right away, so it was crucial victory for us.
Put this win into perspective for the viewers.
This win that we just had.
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you what, the Gruya was coming in with a 5-1 record, and we were going in with a 4-2. They had the best defense in our district so far, and we were worried about it, and I challenged our kids. We're facing the best. Let's play how we're capable of playing. And Friday night, you know, we had a total of 400 and I think it was 460 yards total offense, and Jesse scored 4 touchdowns, and so we met that challenge. You know, kids were excited, and they're working hard for our next opponent, which is Zapata. You know, Zapata's going to be real strong too. They're big and strong.
What makes running back Jesse Valadares so good?
Jesse's got just talent. That's all talent in Jesse's part. You know, line will block for him, but Jesse, you know, does the rest. And Jesse's just a dedicated player. I mean, when we first spotted him in the junior high, we knew he was going to be something special. And right now, as a senior, he's living up to those expectations. Our team is maturing as the year goes on, and you know, they've shown it in the games that we've had, and you know, got a lot of kids stepping in to replace some of the seniors from last year, and they've stepped it up, and they've met that challenge, and it's shown in the victories that we've had so far.
Well, man, we're back for the wrap-up. Greg Selber with Jake Berry, the show. We hope you're checking us out. Spread the word, because we feel like we're doing a pretty good job of telling you what happened and setting you up for the next week. We don't want to get out of here without doing 2 things. One is naming our sponsors.
Yeah, I'd like to thank McDonald's, the Payne Auto Group, for helping us with this. South Texas College.
Yeah, man.
And, you know, we've got a ton of people that make this possible. We couldn't do it without you guys.
And we're not going to name them all. It's not going to be like the Academy Awards. I want to thank my 3rd grade teacher because she didn't kick me out. St. Joe, 62 points against St. Anthony, 62-48. You got to check out a receiver named Adrian Gatta. He's having an amazing season. He's got the best receiving numbers in the Valley right now.
Yeah, and Coach Villarreal, Tino, we didn't forget about you. I got your email.
Yeah, we saved you. We saved you. Christian's Ball Club. Hey, the other guy, Adrian Gutierrez is the quarterback, but I want to amend that list of 200-yard rushers because Brandon Olvera had 283. He was second in the Valley last week to Solis at 301. He's a kid who had about 1,200 last year. They've been throwing the ball a lot this year, but Brandon Olvera is a great running back. I wish I could get a chance to see that kid play.
Yeah, and it's tough because they travel all the way, San Antonio, Austin.
Road trip, man.
Yeah. I mean, they do what like teams in the Midwest do. They're going all over the place.
Well, we'll keep an eye on Brandon and all those good kids, the Adrians at St. Joe, and we don't want to leave anybody out. Santa Maria, Monte Alto this week. I know a lot of people in the Mid-Valley are going to be excited about that one. We will be back next week to tell you all the results, all the stats, all the highlights, and there may even be a chance of me being more articulate than I have been this week. What do you think? We'll try that later.